Talk your shit, Craig. Talk your shit.
Shut up.
I'm finna talk my shit. Cool now.
She was just 26 years old, beautiful, kind-hearted, and a devoted mother figure to two young nephews. To her family and friends, Jeremy Caples was a bright light in Memphis, a regular presence at church, a soft smile in every snapshot. On November 11, 2021, that light went dark. On a cold, unremarkable night, Jeremy was found slumped over in her car. One bullet had pierced her head, taking away not only her life, but the warmth she carried for those two boys. There were no witnesses, no shell casings found, and most arrests followed fast, but not this time. Instead, what followed was a silence so thick that it swallowed her memory whole. The Memphis police released surveillance footage, a lone figure walking away from the car. But who was he, or she, or what? And then the rumors began. Whispers among neighbors. Late-night TikTok speculations. One name kept surfacing, her boyfriend, someone Jeremy welcomed back into her life after he'd been in prison. A man she'd stood by and loved deeply. Could the one she trusted most have destroyed her? Some allege he didn't just leave her that night, he pulled the trigger. Others claim the person caught on camera wasn't him at all. Police sources, those closest to the investigation, have stated that her boyfriend was not considered a suspect. One theory even flips the narrative entirely, suggesting the person in the footage may have been a woman. But the rumor persists. Social media investigators argue motive from online breadcrumbs. Her father, Jerry Caples, continues to plead with the public, "We're getting close," he says, "but we need your help." This is more than another cold case. This is a story of faith, forgiveness, and blood on the dashboard. It's a story of questions no one has answered. A story of love that might have been deadly. What really happened to Jeremy Caples? Was it passion gone wrong? A crime of jealousy? Or merely a tragic fate? And above all, could the man she loved be the one who killed her? Stick with us. This isn't just a murder, it's a family's desperate cry for justice. Moody dusk over Memphis, Tennessee, city lights glinting through a low-hanging mist. A weathered neighborhood street in Nutbush, the lens slowly zooming toward a dark sedan. Grainy surveillance snapshots of a lone figure walking away from the vehicle. She was 26 years old, Jeremy Caples, a mother, a guardian, a sister. To those who knew her well, she was known as the soft one. She spent her days caring for two nephews, taking them in when their own mother could not. She carried that gentle kindness wherever she went, a living reminder that family sometimes chooses us, and she chose them. In May 2021, something changed. Her boyfriend, freshly released from prison, re-entered her life. She picked him up, welcomed him back, believing in second chances. But just days after that reunion, on November 11, 2021, everything fell apart. Jeremy was found slumped over in her car, shot once in the head, in the quiet streets of Nutbush. No witnesses. No arrests. A surveillance camera caught a figure walking away, indistinct, unidentifiable. But rumors spread fast. Social media boomed with questions. Was it her boyfriend? Was he jealous? Did he come back and kill her? Yet police sources say her boyfriend was never publicly named a suspect, even as whispers online pressed the theory that she warned her sister, Candace, before her death, "If anything happens to me, he did it." But the investigation has moved at a glacial pace. Her father, Jerry Caples, describes a father's worst nightmare. He speaks of unanswered questions, heartbreak, and a family desperate for closure. This is not just another cold case, it's a story of hope and heartbreak, of loyalty and doubt. A mother figure disappears under the shroud of rumors. Did the man she loved betray her? Or are we chasing shadows? With nothing but questions leading the way. Her family's plea for justice grows louder. And so we ask, what really happened to Jeremy Caples? The answer may lie in the silence she left behind. Born and raised in Memphis, Jeremy Caples was known for her warm laughter and empathetic heart. She grew up surrounded by family, her sisters, Candace and Tiffany, and her father, Jerry, and earned a special place as the soft one, the sister who listened, the niece who stayed late to help clean up. Life took a challenging turn when she became the mother to two nephews. Without hesitation, she stepped into the role, guiding them through school, bedtime stories, scraped knees, and everything childhood throws at a parent. Her selfless love defined her days and grounded her home. That household, equal parts chaotic, cozy, and filled with hope, was her anchor. People said she moved through life with her heart wide open, even as she carried an unspoken weight. Amid the laughter and the everyday routines, love flickered into her life again. This time, with a man who had just left prison. Jeremy picked him up in May 2021, after his release, and welcomed him back into her life. Social media caught wind of their meeting, sparking speculation that those reunions were rocky at best. Friends described the relationship as on again, off again, passionate, intense, and at times volatile. There were fights, overheard arguments, yet she returned to him, again and again. Because love, real or complicated, isn't always logical. And then, only weeks before her death, Jeremy called her sister Candace. A conversation that ended with a chilling promise: if anything happens to me, he did it. Those words now hang in the air like a premonition. Moody nighttime panorama of Memphis, Tennessee, streetlights casting long shadows over empty roads. Slow zoom on the Nutbush neighborhood, focusing on Print Avenue's quiet curves. Grainy black and white surveillance still, Jeremy's car pulling slowly into view. She was a young woman full of promise. 26-year-old Jeremy Caples, gentle at heart, a caregiver to two young boys she raised as if they were her own. Known in her family as the soft one, Jeremy was the sister who listened, the niece who stayed late, the cousin who carried everyone's worries. On November 11, 2021, on a street that looked like any other in Nutbush, Tennessee, her story came to an abrupt end. That evening, surveillance footage shows Jeremy pulling into a quiet stretch of road, the tail lights dimming as the vehicle rolls to a stop. Moments later, the camera captures a lone figure walking away, dark shape, uncertain pace, direction fading into the night. Dispatch logs hint at the chaos that followed. A 911 call came in reporting a woman slumped behind the wheel, unresponsive. When police arrived, they found Jeremy shot once in the head, collapsed over the steering wheel. There were no eyewitnesses. There were no shell casings, only a bullet, perhaps fired from a weapon muffled in silence. Her phone was gone. Officers scoured the scene. On Print Avenue's asphalt, investigators marked evidence. Forensic teams combed through surveillance video. Residents lit candles at a vigil. Photos of Jeremy circulated on social media, her soft smile glowing in the dark. Days later, the Memphis Police Department released the blurry video of the unknown person walking away. No angles were clear. No one could say for sure who it was. No arrests were ever made. Investigators quietly worked the case, but publicly, they had no suspects to name. Rumors erupted. Online threads labeled her boyfriend a person of interest. They recalled how, just days before the shooting, Jeremy picked him up after his release from prison. They whispered about passionate fights, jealousy, veiled threats. Yet, police sources never confirmed a single charge or disclosure. Still, the rumor grew louder. And then there's this, something she allegedly told her sister Candace, before that night. Words that echo now in hollow halls: if anything happens to me, he did it. The line has haunted everyone who heard it. So we ask ourselves, was that figure in the video her boyfriend? Or someone else? Did he leave her on that street, or was he the one who never left? We'll explore every angle, every trace, every whisper, until we find out what happened that night on Print Avenue. Because this isn't just a crime scene, this is a woman's life, stopped in its tracks. This is a family's unraveling. And this is a promise that they won't stop until they know who killed Jeremy Caples. In the days that followed, whispers circulated through the neighborhood and on social media. Fellow church members, friends, and neighbors gradually revealed a relationship that, at times, had felt like a roller coaster, passionately attached, then pulling apart. They argued a lot, but he loved her deeply, one neighbor posted on a local forum. Another described their reunions after his release as on again, off again. But the stories grew darker. Social media sleuths picked up threads of gossip, and carried them far beyond Nutbush's streets. One user claimed that her boyfriend simply vanished from Memphis the day after Jeremy was killed. Another circulated alleged text screenshots carrying tones of jealousy, phrases like, "You belong to me," spontaneously typed and shared. None of it could be confirmed, and yet it spread like wildfire. Soon, suspicion hovered over her boyfriend, a man released from prison just months before her death, and he became the public's person of interest. But law enforcement never named him as a suspect, and no official statement from Memphis PD confirmed any charges against him. Police did, however, speak to him. But they spoke in hushed tones. Word is, he hired legal representation almost immediately and thereafter chose silence. An impenetrable wall that neither investigators nor family could breach. In a video uploaded nearly 2 years later, Jerry Caples, Jeremy's father, described the meeting that still haunts him. He recalled standing face to face with the man who'd been part of his daughter's life, and who now stood enveloped in rumors. Jerry said, with his voice tight and measured. He looked me in the eye and didn't say a word. A silence that held more weight than any confession. Online, commenters debated, was his silence an admission? Some said it spoke louder than words. Others believed he had nothing to offer, no explanation, no apology, just absence. And as the investigation remained stalled, the question began to grip the community, and us. If it wasn't him, why won't he talk? And why has no one else come forward? Each unspoken answer only deepened the mystery. But if it wasn't him, why won't he talk? And why has no one else come forward? There are some wounds a family carries in silence. But in Memphis, Tennessee, one father's voice refuses to fade. He doesn't speak in riddles. He doesn't beg. He just repeats one promise, over and over again, louder each time. I will scream justice for Jeremy, until I take my last breath. Jeremy Caples was his youngest. The quiet one. The kind one. The daughter who stepped into motherhood for 2 little boys who weren't biologically hers, because she loved like that. She took care of people. She remembered birthdays. She helped her sisters raise their kids and she stood by her father like a second shadow. And then one night, she was gone. Shot. Slumped behind the wheel of her car on a quiet street in Nutbush. No witnesses. No shell casings. Her phone, missing. Her story, silent. That was November 11, 2021. Since then, not a single person has been arrested for her murder. But that doesn't mean the streets have been quiet. Not in her neighborhood. Not in her family. In the 2 years since, Jerry Caples has turned grief into a campaign. Not a polished one. Not some media-fueled rally. No, this one is made of street corners and candlelight. Flyers. Facebook posts. Billboards with his daughter's smile and 4 words in bold white letters. Who killed Jeremy Caples? Every week, Jerry walks the same streets where her car was found. Sometimes he talks to strangers. Sometimes he talks to himself. But mostly, he waits. He knows someone saw something. And he knows someone is staying quiet. He has said it out loud more than once, they know who did it. The person might be right here in the area. They're walking around. And it's not right. For Jerry, this isn't a father's hunch. It's a man's truth, worn into him like scars. I go by that spot every day, he said once. I sit there. I walk around. I think. Around him, his daughters, Candace, Shia, and others, turned mourning into motion. They organized vigils. They created a hashtag. They cried on camera. They lit candles for their sister on sidewalks and porches and church parking lots. Sometimes there were 20 people. Sometimes only 5. But they kept showing up. In one of those vigils, Candace stood in front of a camera and spoke the words her sister never got to say. She was sweet. Kind. Loving. She didn't deserve to die like this. The Capel sisters do not have police badges. They don't carry microphones or press passes. What they carry is memory, and the weight of it. They remember how Jeremy laughed. How she parented without complaint. How she always circled back to the same man, even when things got bad. And how, just weeks before she died, she confided to Candace a single, terrifying line. If anything happens to me, he did it. Her words still echo. Not in a courtroom. Not in an arrest warrant. But in every billboard her family pays for out of pocket. In every photo posted online. In every Facebook memory shared with the same caption. We will not let you be forgotten. The Memphis Police Department says the case is still open. Still active. But the family doesn't feel that. They feel something else, that the longer it drags on, the colder it gets. That silence isn't just absence. It's resistance. And so, her father keeps speaking. Not for media attention. Not for pity. But because it's all he has left. I'm not gonna rest. I'm not gonna sleep. I'm not gonna stop until she gets justice. For him, grief is not just personal. It's public. It's on the record. It's standing on a street corner with his daughter's photo in one hand and a phone number in the other. It's chasing answers that everyone seems too afraid to give. He knows the people who whisper. He sees the posts. The rumors. The boyfriend whose name everyone says, but no one confirms. The timelines that don't add up. The friends who vanished the day after her body was found. He knows silence, too. He sat across from it. Looked it in the eye. And in his own words, he remembers the moment. He looked at me, and didn't say a word. That silence haunts him. It haunts her sisters. It haunts the home where Jeremy once sang to her nephews and warmed dinner for everyone else. And so they fight. Not with rage. Not with vengeance. But with memory. With visibility. With persistence. Because this is not just about a death. It's about a promise. A vow made by a father who will never stop shouting, even if the world gets tired of listening. Justice for Jeremy. He says it at vigils. On the news. To passing cars. To the sky. Because someone knows. Someone saw. And until they speak, he will. In the months and years since that cold evening in Nutbush, the Memphis Police Department has maintained that the investigation into Jeremy Capels' death is still ongoing. A closed case? Not yet. Police have not released any information about a suspect, their statements read, leaving the door open, but unanswered, wide open to shadows and doubt. But what is actually known remains scarce. To this day, the public record shows no forensic evidence released, no DNA tests, no ballistics details, no autopsy results. In a city full of cameras, none have yet produced a clear image of the person seen walking away from the vehicle that night. That figure in surveillance remains unidentified, a blur against the cold pavement. No arrests have followed. No warrants have been issued. No person has been officially named by the Memphis Police Department. And yet countless questions remain. Could her boyfriend, the man who re-entered her life months before her death, have had both motive and opportunity? He was interviewed by police, but released with no charges. He hired a lawyer immediately, and then vanished into silence. His voice was never heard again, even though Jeremy had told her sister Candace, "If anything happens to me, he did it." And yet, he was never arrested. Or was it something else? A jealous ex, they wonder. A random act of violence, out of nowhere. Or an unexpected setup, someone she trusted, someone she never suspected, triggering a chain of events no one saw coming. Police insist the case remains active, but the details are locked behind procedural walls. The silence surrounding the investigation grows deafening. Here are the loose ends. No forensic evidence has been shared, no public explanation of why, if there is any. The person in the video walking away is still a mystery, no identity, no lead pointing to them. Her boyfriend was questioned, then released. No charges. No statements. No clarity. Jeremy's own warning to her sister weighs heavily in the private realm, but has never been tested in court. And here are the what-ifs that haunt every conversation. Did her boyfriend kill her? He had motive, proximity, and a turbulent history, yet no proof. Was it a jealous ex, someone trying to punish Jeremy for choosing someone else? That figure in the footage could be anyone. Was it a staged shooting? Could her phone have been stolen to make the scene look disjointed? Or was it someone else entirely, a friend, a stranger, someone who knew her routine and took advantage? We have no courtroom revelations. No final confession. No verdict. Only a grieving father's vow. A family's heartbreak. A city's unanswered questions. And so the mystery remains unsolved. The evidence isn't enough for a conviction, but suspicion isn't proof. The rumors, the threats, the loyalty, the warnings, are real. But until the police name a suspect, or someone steps forward, or a fingerprint is found, the case lives in the twilight. What do you believe happened? Was it a crime of passion? A setup? A random act of hate? Or something stranger still? The truth remains buried in silence. But perhaps one day, someone will speak, and finally answer the question left hanging over Memphis and the Caples family: who killed Jeremy Caples? They say time heals all wounds. But for the Caples family, time has only deepened the questions. On one cold November night, 26-year-old Jeremy Caples was found shot in her car in Nutbush, Memphis, slumped behind the wheel, one bullet to her head, no phone, no witnesses, no arrests. The Memphis Police Department has stressed that the case remains open and active. Still, the public knows little. No DNA results released. No autopsy review. No ballistics report. And the only person caught on video walking away from her vehicle, the person in the surveillance footage, has never been identified. The most whispered name? Her boyfriend, a man recently released from prison. Questioned by authorities, he was never charged. He immediately hired a lawyer and then slipped into silence. But that silence reverberates. Just weeks before her death, Jeremy confided in her sister, Candace, "If anything happens to me, he did it." Those words have unnerved everyone who heard them. Yet, they remain untested in court. So the unanswered questions stand like gravestones. Did he have motive and opportunity? He was close, emotional, and part of her final days. Could it have been someone else? A jealous ex? A random act of violence? A plan gone wrong? Was it an unexpected betrayal, someone she trusted more than anyone? The Memphis police insist they're still working the case. But without leads, arrests, or public evidence, the investigation is stalled. And yet, a family waits. A father who says, "She was found, slumped over," and who has vowed, "I'm not gonna rest until she gets justice." For every unanswered question, there's no answer. For every rumor, no confession. For every theory, no proof. Jeremy had so much left ahead of her, 2 young boys she'd adopted, a circle of family and friends, weekdays filled with love and attention. And then, nothing. A life erased in a single moment. Someone out there knows what happened. Someone heard something. Someone saw something. Because nothing in this case is normal, and yet, that evening on Print Avenue passed without notice from the rest of the world. Until now. Do you believe her boyfriend was responsible? Or is this a tragic case of mistaken suspicion? Let us know in the comments, and if you do have any information, please contact the Memphis Police Department. This isn't just a documentary, it's a call for answers. If you thought this was unsettling, just wait for tomorrow's episode. We'll bring you another story that will keep you awake at night. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because justice sometimes takes more than time, it takes our voices.